Hi everyone, Senior Scientist here. All right, well, let's just do another quick update because we have a couple different scenarios that could happen. And one of the things is that if we look at the weekly RSI, we really need to maintain this line here and not break below it. So you can see where we kind of touch that line right there. And that was when we had liftoff. And we're touching the line right there. So that could be a good thing for liftoff, but also on the RSI, we need to hold that. So if we break below on the weekly, this line right here, we're looking at a much more substantial drop in price. Okay, so there's people who think we're going to drop, and it's valid, and then there's reason why we might not drop, and that I think is valid too. And I mentioned in my previous video, real short one, that we have, I think we have Wyckoff accumulation taking place here, or if you want to say Re-Accumulation, there's kind of that going on too. But up here, if we look at maybe the 4 hourly, let's see if that shows it a little better. Yeah, so the 4 hourly shows this a little bit better, where we have, looks like, I think it's called the PSY, and we have the buying climax up here, automatic rally, and comes up, and that's, where we're getting all the distribution. So there is, smart money that was unloading on people up there, knowing full well they're going to drive the price down. How do you feel about that? I wonder who those people are. I really do. I want, who are the people that can manipulate the markets like that? It's crazy. So then down here, we have Wyckoff accumulation taking place. And so I mentioned we have our selling climax come up. Now we've got our spring, and that spring came up, testing the top of that spring. And you can have sort of multiple tests even, not just with the spring, but with the tests of the supply zone, basically. So the whole trading region. And so we could see another spring, and that's what I think might happen here. So if we could have one more spring in it, and it could be a complete shakeout. So in other words, they'll place their stop either under this or just under this. And so we could see this coming down, I think, and just wipe out those stops and then go. So that is definitely a possibility there. We could just see this come down and start forming higher lows and higher highs. But what has me worried is that this is a lower high. We got high here and a lower high here. So that almost implies we could just have kind of an ABC thing coming down. If that's the case, we should see 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, coming up for 4 and 5. And that's why I think we might be attacking this selling climax, testing that again. So you can have tests of both the spring in Wyckoff, and then you can have tests of the selling climax area. So we might be testing that and then launching up. So, or continuing on a little bit. This could go on, but I don't think it can go on too long because we need to get that RSI up. So that's the importance of time. If that RSI, we got 5 days left on this. You see that, number 5? So we got 5 days left yet before we close on the weekly. And we're getting awfully close to touching. But again, last time we touched, we launched. And we haven't actually touched yet. So we could come down, and I think that's where we could be testing that selling climax at the beginning. Okay, so if we get down to about, 400 again, 398, 397, somewhere around there, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see here, the bottom. Technically, the bottom would be on a Wyckoff, on a Re-Accumulation. You would be looking at the automatic rally, and then this other drop here. Those would be your support lines. So technically, this whole thing could come down within that area. So it could come down here. All right, and that would be a pretty substantial drop, I get it. But I'm just trying to paint what could happen. That would be around 340 would be the bottom. So that's possible. I think somebody in my comment section said a while back, like, just wait for 350. Well, I'm sure a lot of you know a lot more than I do, because I don't know much at all. It's just nobody else does videos. Like, so I share my ideas, and I'm wrong. But if more people put out videos, it'd be great. I mean, there's Caesar Gets Crypto. Mr. Million did one 2 months ago. Now, he was spot on. So he was talking about, boy, if you haven't seen that, go watch his video. But keep in mind, I think I could be wrong, but so he mentioned that this is ABC on the entire chart, and this is D, and we're coming down for an E wave. So he shorted up here when he saw all this, and that E wave he thinks should get to that E wave theoretically, if you follow Elliott wave, could take you all the way back down. And he thinks a good area would be the 618 or the 786, which would be, down around this zone basically. That's pretty low. But doesn't mean it'll have to go down there. So he mentioned too that E wave could take different paths, and one would be an A, B, C correction, and then up, or it could be, he thought, maybe a descending zigzag pattern. But here we clearly have, excuse me, right now at least, it's showing support. Now this could be just your A, and it's coming up and forming a B. I mean, all that's possible. But when we look at Wyckoff, I see less indication of us taking any dip below this. And I see Wyckoff right on through here. And we have, again, if we want to go up soon, which I don't know why we wouldn't. I mean, I do know why. I see the reasoning, right? But when we look at just overall market in general, I mean, the S&P 500 just hit a new all-time high. Well, I'm sure there's a reason, and there will be a reason, whatever happens. But that would just be boring. But he did say, and missed a million, even though that sounds like, oh boy, that would suck, right? Going all the way down there. He does mention, like, no, it doesn't suck. All this is such a phenomenal buying opportunity, because he restates in his video that we are going to $35,000 to $50,000. And reason why I keep promoting Mr. Million and like him, and Caesar Gets Crypto, some of these guys, but Mr. Million, I found him right after this big guy happened. I found his video, and he was doing it like back here. I mean, we're talking several months before, or about a month or so before this big spring. My dogs are fighting in the background. And he talked about how there would be this spring. So, yeah, it was kind of, or, he didn't call it spring. He said that there should be this big pump, and he thought that pump right away would take us up to like 1,500. So he's off on some things too. Nobody can predict the future. Nobody has a crystal ball, but I think we'll have to kind of just keep watching here, I guess. Suppose the one good thing maybe, yeah, not sure. I was just going to say that at least this matches that. Another sign that you might be going lower is if that side would be lower. But that's on the weekly scale, so we don't have any indication yet. So I guess we got to watch that RSI. Watch your stop loss. Be aware that we are at a pivotal spot, and we may be for a little while. It's tough to say how long this thing is going to go, but there may be some good news coming up. I think if we do another drop, we're looking at testing that. So our next drop, if we do have one, we might go up here before we go back down too. But if we go down, we'd be looking at around 400 or just below that to test that. And then if it really wants to make a drop, we'd be looking at that next line there, which is at 340. Okay, all right, that's all I got. Other than that, let's wait for Caesar Gets Crypto to update, and whomever else wants to give it a try. It'd be cool to hear everybody's differing opinions, whether you're bearish, bullish, or whether you're chicken or a dog, like fighting in the background. All right, anyway, I hope you all are well. Just gonna wait here too, and hope for the best. I mean, all indications this thing was going up, and then we got that. I just didn't see the distribution, and now we definitely have Wyckoff accumulation. I think I wouldn't say definitely, but I think we do. And yeah, so we'll see what it does next. I guess it could always drop down a level from there. Maybe it's testing supply, and no, there's more here, and it comes down here and does all that. So that's what we'll wait and see. But I don't, according to from what I've read, that it's a very technical, it's very technical and complicated to pick out what they call re-accumulation, and re-accumulation in Wyckoff. So you hear of accumulation and distribution. Re-accumulation happens during an uptrend and can mimic distribution, and so that's why you kind of got to know what you're looking for, which I'm still learning. But in reaccumulation, it can be similar to this, and it looks like distribution all up in here, but they're actually reaccumulating and getting more and more of the supply. And so that might be, might be less distribution and more about the reaccumulation. And in that case, reaccumulation, you wouldn't come down below those two there. Those are your support lines. I know they're pretty low, but those are your support lines. But then clearly we also have support here, and we have that selling climax. And so I think we might just, possibly give it a run and test that. We'll see what happens. All right, I kind of just repeated myself.